public input, public comments on 7K at this time.
Second.
Barb, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Okay, I think I'm gonna ask for that, the public comments now, so who?
Well, I would, but can we hear what the letters were written?
Yeah, we can
Can
do
those be
that.
read? Just-
You wanna hear that before you speak?
I do.
Do you want me to read?
Yeah.
Why don't you let me read? Go ahead, I read faster.
You don't have a mask. I'm a teacher reader.
I don't have a mask on either.
I'm a teacher reader.
The first is a statement from Jeff and Robin Schwartz, who are immediately adjacent to this property and across the street from my property. We would like to add the following comments to be considered in addition to those we brought up at the planning commission meeting. As was addressed at the planning commission meeting, this parcel is included in the Farmland Preservation Plan. It is also part of a 2050 future land use map. This parcel is currently surrounded by A1 land. It is approximately 92.5% prime farm soils. We believe it is important to preserve A1 land for as long as possible, because once it's gone forever. When we recently met with the county land use planner, we learned that even though the town of East Troy's intent was to potentially consider developing this land in the future, it is up to the planning commission and town board to decide when the time is proper and necessary. Just because it is included in the 2050 future land use map, it in no way implies that any development presented needs to be automatically approved. He pointed us to Appendix A3 of the land use plan, which indicates that the planned rural density residential areas could accommodate additional housing as needed. See attached. The planning commission voted that now is not the time, and we agree. We would also like to point out that just around the corner from Sabota Road, on Townline Road, there's a development that was approved by the town of East Troy, Troy Hills Estates. According to the county record, it appears there are 20 lots that still have not been sold since their creation in 2009. See attached list of parcels. There's also land along Highway 120 that was annexed by the village that would possibly be more appropriate for additional development if deemed necessary, rather than breaking up contiguous A1 farmland, which is still included in the Farmland Preservation Plan. We respectfully request that you deny the above rezone request. Thank you, Jeff and Robin Schwartz, W2189 Sabota Road, East Troy. The second statement is from Mr. Ames, who is here tonight, also my neighbor. My mother was born in his house. Hi, my name is Dale Ames. I own the farm that is attached to the south of proposed A1 to 3 home lots on Sabota Road. I have concerns. County ordinances only allow 2 houses off a single drive. This proposal has 3 houses off a single drive. I also have concerns about erosion and water runoff. Water comes running down the hill on a heavy rain and sometimes floods the area behind my barn. It also floods the lane I use to access my fields. I think this needs to be addressed. I am also concerned about noise levels. I fear a 4-wheeler track will be installed right next to me or some other situation. I think some protection against this is needed for the neighborhood and neighbors in this regard. Also, this is A1 land, so not sure how that plays into this situation. Thank you, Dale Ames.
Okay, those were the 2, I guess the emails or delivered mail to you?
Emails.
Okay, so those were the 2. I have some information on it also, so does Pete. I think we should hear
Sure.
the public comments at this time.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
read?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got 3 minutes, just so you know.
Are you serious? 3 minutes?
Yep.
Alright, I'll cut to the chase then. So
But
we
you
got
got,
Your name and address?
Patrick Moon, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, Sweeten Mayor. On behalf of the applicants, Justin Rohr is here present with me. Alright, so we just heard a bunch of comments. The driveways, this is in no particular order. There's gonna be 3 driveways here, not 1. 3 separate parcels, 5 3/4 acres, 2 of them, 1 at 6.4 acres. In terms of the farmland preservation plan, it's true that this is included in the farmland preservation plan. That plan was adopted in 2012. In 2019, however, the town adopted their smart growth plan, or re-adopted the smart growth plan which confirmed that this parcel should be slated for rural density residential zoning, which allows 5 acre minimum lots, which is exactly what we're asking for. In terms of the notion that this is some kind of sprawl, that's a comment that I heard at the plan commission meeting. It's sprawl and it's gonna ruin the rural character of the neighborhood. With respect, these are again 5 3/4, 6.4 acre lots. To me, those are farmettes. You could literally keep animals on these properties. This is not 1/4 acre suburban sprawl like you see down in Chicago where I grew up. And I took a hard look this morning at the neighborhood. There are 17 lots immediately adjacent to this parcel. Within 750 feet of the parcel, there are 10 lots of 1 acre, approximately 1 acre each. Immediately bordering this parcel, there are 4 residential lots. The largest is 5.8 acres. The smallest is 3/4 acres. Across the street to the east, off 120, there's a 5 acre farmette and a 1 acre lot. And then Ms. Buchanan's property directly to the north across Woodburn Road is 1.85 acres. So adding 3 more lots of 5 3/4 and 6.4 acres fits right into this neighborhood, in my opinion. It's not gonna ruin the characteristic, it's gonna be consistent. It's frankly gonna be larger than most of the lots in the neighborhood. In terms of the concept that A1 is A1 and it has to stay farmland forever, I say, okay, if that's true, then change your smart growth plan. Because again, you've slated this twice now for rural density residential zoning. And the other thing to note is of these 17 lots that I just mentioned, 7 are A1 and they're all small lots, which means they were subdivided from a larger farm parcel at one time, including, I suspect, Ms. Buchanan's lot. So the notion that this town never subdivides A1 lots simply isn't true. It's happened at least 7 times right in the immediate vicinity of this parcel. And then last point, just something to consider,
Finish your sentence.
it's the notion of annexation. The only thing separating this parcel from the village of East Troy is one contiguous 50-some acre parcel directly to the north. If that gets annexed in, this could get piggybacked, and then you're not talking about 5 acre, 6 acre lots. You are gonna have sprawl in your neighborhood.
All right.
Those are my comments.
You'll have 2 other, public comments where you allow another 3 minutes. Obviously, it'll be after we act.
All right.
As you know, if something goes haywire, the board always has the option to reconsider.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to speak on? Yeah.
My name's Dale Ames. I have a farm just south of this, proposed zone. Number one, if it is gonna be 3 separate, driveways, that's gonna be 3 driveways in a very short period of area on that Sabota Road. I think there's only 1 driveway now, so you're gonna have to approve at least 2 more driveways. County ordinance states that no more than 2 houses can be in 1 driveway, and that's for fire and safety. The other part about this is, it is A1, but it's not even close to being a 5 acre parcel qualified because it has no trees on it, it has nothing on it like it at all. Like I stated in my letter, I'm concerned about erosion. I know for a fact that I do get a lot of rain coming off those hills, and I don't think anybody's looked at the erosion situation, particularly if there's gonna be houses up there. That has to be looked at. Okay, nobody's even mentioned that. And number 3, we need some protection as far as some ordinances, if we're noise and so on and so forth. Like I mentioned, 4-wheelers, somebody set up a rifle range, you put pigs and cows out of this thing. I mean, where's the protections for the neighbors? There is none. So those are my concerns. Like I say, it doesn't even come close to having 1 house on it according to, laws of the county. 35 acre parcel, A1 land is required for 1 house. And it doesn't even come close to that. I have 35 acre parcels, on the other side of Smith Prairie, So I'm pretty familiar with the laws and the situation of the zone, so, I think there's a lot of unanswered questions here that need to be addressed.
Mr. Ames, can I get your address, please, for the record?
N 7297, State Road 120.
All right, anyone else on this issue?
I want to speak. My name is John Stos, North 8831 Stearns Ridge Road. I'm in support of what this proposal is. I believe in personal property owners' rights, and I believe in fairness and equity. And the way it was described, I heard a lot of the same similar things that are already in the area that are there. I know people don't want things to get wild and out of control, and nobody wants that. But there could be some provisions or things put in with stormwater management and whatnot to allow the guy to use his property within reason. He's not doing spot zoning, he's not creating weird, unique situations out there. The stuff is all around. So that's what I believe in.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay, Pete.
I'm just gonna read my report.
Okay.
Planning Commission's most recent action occurred on January 19th at our decision meeting. There was a petition for a rezone and CSM approval to parcel number PET 31000008 located on the south side of Swoboda Road. The owners, Justin and Mary Rohr, are seeking to rezone approximately 18 acres of A1 prime agricultural land to C2 and C2 conservation upland. Their aim is to create 3 residential lots. The proposed lots meet the town's C2 zoning ordinance area and use qualifications and are consistent with the town's land use map as rural residential. Keep in mind, our comprehensive plan and this land use map are suggestions of foresight, not conditions set in stone. They are malleable, hence the reason for discussion. One of the difficulties for the Planning Commission is that the current zoning and land use map do not match up. The Planning Commission has a high regard for our agricultural heritage. A1 zoning is agricultural prime and is considered sacred to many. It is not to be touched. In defense of this argument, it would be a misnomer to think the county is in agreement with a rezone from A1 to C2. They designated the land south of Swoboda as farmland preservation for a reason: quality soil. 90% of the soil meets the agricultural prime designation. Yes, there are residential dwellings on Swoboda Road, but the homes on the south side of Swoboda are close to the road, and all the land in the backyard is A1 prime agricultural prime. We fear this proposal deviates from the existing state of affairs and may set a precedent for more to follow. We ask, is the time right? Are we ready? The Planning Commission thinks not. I motion we adhere to the Planning Commission's decision to deny the rezone and CSM approval for parcel PET 31000008 located on Swoboda Road.
Okay, there's gonna be obviously discussion on this, but that is your motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Okay, under discussion, I'm gonna take the contrary position, for many reasons. First of all, understand the farmland preservation issue. The town of East Troy has forever put a high price tag on quality farmland. However, the farmland at our smart growth plan, and notice this area here outlined by these triangles here saying, here is where we feel that farmland has to be preserved. Obviously, the infill areas that nearest the village, is designated for different use. Now, it's at current use of agricultural, but it also, the plan says that if it does change from agricultural, that what would be allowed there would be rural residential as listed, 5 acres. Now, this is all a matter of degree here. The Farmland Preservation Program itself, actually expires, next year. You know, it's gonna be re-upped, number one. Number two, the applicants never asked to be put into that farmland, preservation plan. The county's plan tried to take everything that was still farmland in the whole county and attached it, carte blanche, and, no consideration, being, actually, really detailed either, because there's a lot of parcels in the town that are not included in it, but most everything is. So that's the primary issue. Now, the soils there, again, we say prime farmland, it is A1, but it's substandard A1, because it's not 35 acres, number one. Number two, the soils in there are class 2 and 3 soils, okay? If it was class 1 soils, we may be having a different argument here. But due to the fact that they're 2 and 3s, it's not necessarily the same, you know, it's not the best. Is it still prime agricultural land? Yes, that's correct. It is prime agricultural land, okay? But when you look at the slopes on the back half of those properties, it is quite steep, okay? And it's not really connected to the other farmland, other than taking fences out or owners of land, grouping it together, all in one ownership that hasn't occurred. So the actual rezone request and the land division request does meet our plan, okay? So I have an issue where we use the land use plan to deny proposals, and then turn around in the same breath, use the land use plan to deny it when it's allowed. I don't think that's a very good precedent for us. It kind of weakens our position a little bit, you know. But the land, it is substandard A1, that's for sure. Now, back in January 31st of 2019, we had a meeting between the village of East Troy, the town of Troy, and the town of East Troy. And one of the items we were discussing, that was the kickoff for our boundary agreement, which we're still working on. But at that time, the village president stated that the President Seeger commented that the main area of growth for the village would be south along 120. I think that goes into what the gentleman just said there. So the growth is down here, and you can see the grays here are all currently in the village. There's the one parcel that was mentioned, okay? So if they're all there, you know, as the village, and the future sanitary sewer service area for the village says that these two parcels right at the southeast corner of Savona and 120 would be a future sanitary sewer service area. Well, I think that shows the intent of what the village is intending there. And their plan, we have the same type of plans that we have, and their plans show that as residential. So if it's sewered residential, we're not talking about 3 homes in that, on that plot, we're talking about 30 or more, okay? So I think, in my view, that this should be approved because it does comply with our land use plan, okay? And, it would weaken our rulings if we were to use our land use plan to go both ways, okay? That's really that's why that's what I look at. So, you know, there's 2 options here, and I think one of them is we vote on it. Unfortunately, we have 1 member missing tonight, so we have a potential of a tied vote. We have a potential that it could go back to the plan commission with this additional information. I do believe if the plan commission knew about the sanitary sewer service area, they may have thought different. They also, should know that that is the village's approach. I'd rather see the, you know, the mini farms, the conservation type lot, rather than, you know, what you see on the north side of St. Peter's Road, those are quarter acre lots. That wouldn't be 30, that would be more like 60, take the roads out, 50 lots. So that's why I'm arguing with this.
In light of the new information, I know it has haunted me, I'm not kidding you, that I've been on the fence about how I should behave with this decision, because I am on the planning commission, and, we had plenty of time, we had more time to deliberate and think about this than the town supervisors right now do. And, I feel obligated to my planning commission, cause we, like I say, we had given it much, well, quite an in-depth thought. I do think of what the, you know, when you purchase land, you should know what you're able to do with it for certain. I mean, check into that before you go on an assumption, but it's not for certain, and I think that was maybe a mistake, maybe. I mean, I'm not trying to be finger pointing, but it's something to keep in mind, I guess.
What was the vote of the planning commission?
5-2.
Approve.
Huh?
To
deny.
deny.
So, my concerns, I mean, what Joe is expressing and what the attorney, he said, gave those same thoughts, that's what bothers hell out of me.
Okay.
I think it's very reasonable, I guess I'm not following Mr. Ames' thoughts that, you know, of the erosion. I'm thinking if there's 3 homes there, they're likely to do more landscaping than leaving as it is today. More planting, things like that,
turf.
yeah. So I think that will help mitigate some of the erosion issues. I think 3 lots is very reasonable. You're staying within the guidelines of 5 acres or more. Like Pete said, that's what your understanding was when you purchased the property. You know, our school district, we're always looking for help. It's managed growth, which I think is important to the town, and you're following now those guidelines.
Can I approach
Say something. Yeah?
can I say something?
Because of my.
Yeah, yeah. Coming up again. We're having an open discussion here, so.
I just wanna say that, with regards to the erosion, we don't have anything set in stone to know what the result of putting those houses are gonna be up there.
No.
We can assume that it'll be a better situation, but we don't know that for sure. Once they start digging basements or whatever the case may be, you disturb that soil, you get rain, then you start to wash on down. Currently, there's some crops in there, and they put the rows in there, and they kinda stop that water flow. Now you're gonna have all, lawn, and that will wash down. So maybe there needs to be some, wall, maybe, or some way to control the possible erosion that would possibly likely come out of that situation. Nobody's looked at that, so I think that's a concern.
I think it almost goes without
Aren't
saying.
most construction sites required to put up some erosion?
The land disturbance permit will be required for any home built in there. Okay. And, you know, turf, you know, obviously is a better absorbed, but the.
Well, I know it's that there are
Bare
some,
soil.
there is waterways in there right now, and I do know for a fact that the soils are washing into behind my barn, because it's already filled up the ditch that's in there, and there's some trees that are wrapped around in that, parcel, so,
There's always gonna be a what if, right?
But in all honesty, I think if a homeowner has, like Michelle is saying, that they will landscape it, they'll have a lawn, they'll have shrubberies, I mean, that in itself.
right,
will
I
contain-
get all that, but I
Once
need
it's
to,
incorporated.
make sure that that happens, so that it's not just
Oh,
a big ditch that's going down.
I'm with you.
So,
Okay.
I mean,
It's
then
illegal,
the other thing was
state
the
law.
protections of noise and things like that, that anybody neighborhood would want to have.
Okay, thank you. I didn't make a plan of this past, you guys, it just shows the contours in there, you understand that? I mean, It is one block of farmland now. The south half of it's very steep, north half is pretty flat. It is substandard as far as area, and, you know, the village's plan is pretty straight. It shows residential there, and it also shows, that the sanitary service area, they're anticipating to include that. That answers the question of what the plan is, and so really what we're up to is, when is the time?
Are
When is the
we
time?
obliged to give consideration to the planning commission that, I mean, there's a lot of information that
We've all been, you've been there, I've been there, you're there now. There's always that situation that way. I never took it upon myself to say that the plan or the town board changed the decision. Doesn't happen often, and usually a good reason for it. I would say it was 5 times in the last 15 years that it's happened.
Well, and isn't that exactly why the board has to approve the planning commission?
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's a recommendation.
they're not a, you know, there's,
Their recommendation is to the board, and ultimately we have to stand by our decision.
but
That's
I
why
think
we're
a
having.
lot of this was discussed at the planning commission meeting. I think a lot of these same points were brought up at the planning commission meeting. What
But
we're discussing
Joe's
tonight
point-
isn't anything new that was not discussed at planning.
Well, I don't think the.
But may I address that point, because that's not entirely true. Again, yeah, I mean, the notion of annexation, and I apologize, that's not even something that I thought of previously. I was enlightened to that after the planning commission. I took a hard look at that after the fact. Again, this is one of those be careful what you wish for situations. You don't want 5-acre lots, 6-acre lots, okay, fine. You know, a couple years from now, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna ask for 60 different lots. I'm not asking for 3 next time I come back. And I'm not threatening, but if it's not me, it's gonna be some other attorney or some other owner. That's what's gonna happen. The village wants this land. You can see on the map, that's exactly where they're coming. So I think that's really something to consider. And then in terms of the erosion, real quick, again, as you pointed out, you need an erosion control permit. You need a building permit. That's all stuff you guys can control when these houses are built. That's not gonna be an issue. But, so again,
The
not,
annexation was
it was-
discussed, maybe after, just in conversation.
yeah, but
That
not,
would be-
right, not open in
yeah.
public. I didn't have a chance to respond.
after the vote,
After the vote,
It might have been after the meeting that. it
so
was
that would be
discussed.
after the vote.
absolutely, it was after the vote. Take good notes.
I really
But
think
not everyone was
She's
present
correct.
at that time.
Okay,
So it
correct.
wasn't a quorum, I think.
But then it wasn't considered before.
Thank you.
It was not, thank you.
Yep, you.
Being very, very familiar with that property. Used to sled on the back half. I also have erosion issues because the property is like domed and it slopes out to the back towards Dale's house. And the front slopes down and then it goes in the culvert through the field
Yes.
down around my property. So, I mean, I know there's all that stuff in place, but it's a concern. You know, it's a concern as a neighbor there, and living there, my choice would be obviously to leave it as is, but I'd rather have 3 than 30.
All right, I think we've, kind of exhausted this one a little bit. Pete, do you wanna see the map one more time?
No, I know exactly what it is.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor in a second to approve this, and, we're gonna roll call vote, because I know it's gonna be split. So on the motion to deny, your recommendation to the board is to deny. So, a yes vote would agree with you, a no vote would disagree with that motion. So Klarkowski, no.
Church, no.
Reyes, no.
What's that for?
I have to stick with my planning commission.
Okay, all right, so we don't have a negative motion going to the board. I'll make a motion that the, rezone and CSM approval for Justin and Mary Roar property, tax key parcel PET 310008, be approved.
I'll second.
We have a motion in a second to approve. Any discussion?
Do we need to put some consideration for erosion control?
That's the
or-
county's.
That's the
county's issue.
county?
Yes.
Okay.
And the ATVs, that becomes the chief's issue. whatever happens. Okay, any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Roll call vote, Clarkowski, aye.
Church, I.
Reyes, aye.
Oh, I'd like to say, I know what I'd like to say, I have to follow my planning commission rules.
Okay, 3-1 approved. Okay, it's a lot of information for one issue, but
Thank you.
as it's on the edge, and I think this is more a matter of timing, you're all set, so. Okay.
Thank you very much.